welcome to Freshly Served, the healthy vegan cooking show. I'm Heather, and this is our very first show, so I'm excited to have you with me here today. It is New Year's Day, and I hope you all had a very wonderful New Year's Eve. The first day of the year, in case some of you have made resolutions to switch to a healthy diet or switch to a vegan diet, and you're feeling like, what do I make now? I really want something wonderful and satisfying. What can I make? Well, risotto, great way to do that. And we're gonna do a squash risotto, so it'll leave you feeling nice and full, and it'll be creamy and wonderful. So what I've started with is I have my squash cut up, and I have it in a pot on the back burner here, and it's just cooking with a little bit of boiling water at the bottom. I salted the water before I put the squash in, and it's been cooking on the back there just to get nice and soft to be incorporated into the risotto as it goes. I used very little water so that any of the nutrients coming out of the squash could be added into the risotto as it cooks. I've also got some water heated back here as well to be the cooking liquid for the rice. Very important when you're making risotto. The cooking liquid that you're going to add slowly through the dish needs to be hot. So I've got that heated right now. And the first smaller cooking liquid I'm going to add is actually some honey wine that Phil makes, and it works really nicely in my risotto. So I've got that just sitting next to the burner so that it's fairly warm as well. And then the front pot here I've got heating up, and it's just nice and hot now, so I'm going to add some olive oil. And you're just adding enough to cook the onions. So probably like a tablespoon, maybe 2, depending on how many you're cooking for. And the nice thing about adding the oil to a hot pan is that it's going to spread out, it's going to thin out, so you don't need to use as much. That's why we add it once the pan is hot. I'm going to put my onions in here. So I've got the onion all chopped up, and just throw that in the pot. You should hear a bit of a sizzle, but not too much. We don't really want to be frying the onions, just getting them nice and coated in the oil. And we'll cook them until they're translucent. So not quite browned, but just nicely cooked. And I'm just stirring the onions here to get them all coated in the oil. It's going to seal their flavor in as they cook with the rice. So I'll just give you a peek of what the onions look like. So they're not browned, but they're just translucent so that they start to look shiny. That's what you're looking for. Okay, and actually the next thing I'm going to add is the seasonings. So a little bit of salt, and I'm going to use sea salt. Unrefined, keeps its minerals. Table salt doesn't have many minerals left. And I'm also using fresh thyme. For those of you who don't know what thyme looks like fresh, there it is. That's actually from our garden. Phil does the gardening, I do the cooking. And as you throw that in there, if you just give it a little squeeze with your hand, with your fingers, just pinch it, it'll help release the oils. It also makes your fingers smell good. Yeah. I'll just pour the rest of it in there. Grains are fairly bland, so you can be pretty liberal with your use of herbs. I like the combo of thyme with squash. Yeah, just a little more salt. And I'm going to stir this around so that the thyme gets infused in the oil. Really adds to the flavor of the herb when it gets mixed in with the oil. And I've got about a cup of rice, which is good for 2 people as a main dish. And risotto is nice and creamy, so it's good as a main dish. And you can see I'm using short grain brown rice. Most risottos will tell you to use arborio rice, which I can usually only find in a white variety, but any kind of short grain brown rice will work. The key to risotto is having a slow cooked grain that's going to release its starch. So a long grain brown rice won't work for this kind of recipe. All right, the thyme is looking like it's nicely moistened by the oil, so it's time to add the rice. And that's gonna go in right now without any cooking liquid. And I'm just gonna stir it around so that the rice gets coated with oil. And you could leave this to cook for a few minutes. It does not need to, it's a flavor thing. The rice will have more of a nutty kind of flavor if you let it cook for a few minutes here. But what I'm gonna do is just get it coated with the oil, and then I'm gonna add in my honey wine, which I just have half a cup. And again, it needs to be warm so that it doesn't shock cool the grain. Pour that right in, stir it around, and you want to keep moving this until all of the wine has been infused into the rice grain. You'll see them expand a little bit. And this is the key to risotto, is adding liquid a little bit at a time so that the rice grains release their starches, and that's what makes it creamy without having any kind of dairy or nut-based cream in it. You can add some at the end if you like, but you don't need it. Isn't that great? Okay, I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit and soak up the wine, and perhaps I'll have a little bit of wine myself. All right, so you can't cheat on your risotto. You gotta wait until the wine has all been absorbed. That's the way to make it really nice and creamy. So I'm getting really close. So what you do when it's all been absorbed is you take some of your cooking liquid. I'm using water over here that you have just barely boiling. Take 1 soup ladleful and add it to your rice. And then just keep that heating over here and keep stirring this over here. Stirring also helps to bring out the starch of the rice, which is how it gets creamy. So the more you stir, the creamier it's gonna get. And if you wanna make something really rich and satisfying, that's the texture you wanna have. So keep stirring. Not the kind of dish you can just leave and go work on your computer, but you know what? The more attention you put into your food, the more nourishment it's gonna give you and the more satisfaction you'll feel from having made something really delicious. All right, I've got the last bit of water just absorbing into the rice now, and I've used 3 cups of water because I like a really moist and creamy risotto, but if you like yours a little bit more sticky, you can add less water. And I've turned it down a bit because I'm gonna add the squash now. And if I keep it high, I'm gonna have to stir the risotto too much on my squash, which I wanna keep a little bit whole together, that will get broken up. So I've just turned it down a little bit, and I'm gonna put the squash in here with its cooking liquid. So I'll have to get that absorbed in the rice as well. But it's got nice nutrients in it from the squash, so I'd like to keep that in the dish. So I'm just going to be really gentle now and not try to break the squash up too much. So I've got our butternut squash risotto ready to go. Just sprinkle a few roasted pumpkin seeds on top there. Crack a little bit of black pepper. And Phil and I are going to kick back with a little glass of wine and enjoy ours. I hope you enjoy yours, and I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll see you again next week. Happy New Year!